Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a profound psychological shift, one that is going to completely change how you view your day-to-day interactions. We're unpacking exactly why your daily frustrations, those little moments that absolutely make your blood boil, are actually a perfect, flawlessly accurate map of your own unhealed mind. It's a pretty bold claim, I know, but stick with me. By the end of this, you are going to see your conflicts in a completely different light. So let's ground this in reality first, because we've all been there, right? We all experience this reflex of righteous irritation pretty much every single day. Just think about it. You're aggressively scrolling through your phone, rolling your eyes at a post. Or maybe you're sitting in a meeting, just glaring at that loud coworker who literally won't stop talking. Or you're gripping the steering wheel, screaming at the bad driver in front of you like they personally woke up and plotted to ruin your Tuesday. In that exact moment, your irritation feels entirely justified, doesn't it? Well, I want you to pause for a second. Just be brutally honest with yourself and picture the exact person in your life whose mere presence, or even just their tone of voice, makes your jaw clench. Got them in your head? Okay, good. Now, name the specific trait of theirs that makes you so incredibly angry right now. Is it their arrogance? Maybe their desperate need for attention? How incredibly lazy they are? Whatever it is, hold on to that specific trait, because what we're about to uncover about it is going to permanently change how you look in the mirror. Here is the really uncomfortable truth about that exact person you're picturing. You totally believe your anger is a justified reaction to their objective flaws, right? You think you're just observing the undeniable truth about their broken character. But Carl Jung, who is one of the most profound psychological minds in history, he discovered this terrifying reality about human perception. Most of the time, we aren't actually seeing the world as it is. We're seeing it through the invisible lens of our own inner world. Okay, so to understand why this happens, we really need to talk about what Jung called the shadow. You see, throughout your life, you've rejected or exiled certain qualities from your own identity. Why? Well, because somewhere along the line, you were taught that having those traits would make you unacceptable or even unlovable. So what did you do? You pushed your vulnerabilities, your selfishness, your deepest desires, and your anger right into the dark. You shoved them into the basement of your psyche. That buried collection of rejected traits, that is your shadow. And this is where it gets wild, because this perfectly explains why we get so agitated. Those buried traits don't just disappear just because you refuse to acknowledge them. They have to go somewhere. So instead of vanishing, your unconscious mind takes those exiled traits and projects them outward onto the people around you. It's exactly like Jung famously said, everything that irritates us about others is actually a breadcrumb trail leading right back to an understanding of ourselves. So the crucial point here is this. When you criticize another person with this unusual, really disproportionate emotional intensity, you aren't merely making an observation. Tearing someone else apart in your mind doesn't expose them. It is a disproportionately intense projection that exposes your own disowned traits. The things that trigger you the most, they aren't random annoyances at all. They are flawlessly accurate psychological maps of your own mind. Let's make this super concrete with a practical example. Picture a professional guy who harshly and consistently criticizes a colleague for being fake and manipulative. Every single time this specific colleague speaks up or gets praised, our guy's jaw visibly tightens, and he immediately starts drafting a complaint in his head. He feels this sudden, intense flash of disgust. On the surface, he's totally convinced he's just calling out toxic workplace behavior. But what's actually happening under the hood here is a hidden relationship. His highly expressed contempt perfectly matches his suppressed desire. Deep down in his psychological architecture, he secretly longs for greater social skill and fluency. He desperately wants that ease of connection, but he buried it away a long time ago. So he's completely solved the problem of his own suppressed desire by viciously hating it in someone else. Crazy, right? This is exactly why understanding this mechanism is absolutely vital, because if you don't recognize this projection, you're going to remain completely trapped. You'll go through life falsely believing that the outer world is just packed full of toxic, annoying people, never realizing that it's simply a giant mirror reflecting the unresolved dust of your own mind. As Jung warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will just call it fate. Just think about the absolute irony of the modern internet for a second. I mean, we're talking about billions of hours spent by millions of people every single year, locked in these furious, all-caps arguments in the comment sections of total strangers.
They are typing furiously at 2 a.m., entirely convinced they are nobly defending the fabric of reality against some random person named User99 whose character is supposedly broken.
But clinically speaking, the internet is basically just a massive, interactive shadow projection machine. It is the absolute perfect environment for this psychological mechanism to run wild. We're all out there fiercely attacking our own repressed insecurities, but they're comfortably and safely packaged in someone else's username. We aren't fighting them at all. We're literally fighting the ghosts of our own exiled traits. So, how do we actually break free from this cycle? Well, to achieve genuine psychological sovereignty, you have to completely flip your perspective. It is time to take your power back. You've got to stop using your triggers as a weapon to judge others and start using them as an empowering map to discover yourself. You need to start observing with really careful attention exactly who you judge the most harshly and with what specific emotional intensity. This brings us to a really practical technique we can call shadow mapping. It's a process that demands a profound shift in how you handle emotional intensity. So when that familiar heat of anger starts rising, step 1 is simple. Just pause. Do not react. Step 2 is to ask, not why is this person so awful, but instead what boundary has been crossed here. And step 3 is to ask yourself, what truth is trying to assert itself through this heat? And that brings us to the final, definitely the most terrifying, but absolutely essential question you can ask yourself when someone boils your blood. You have to look at that exact flaw or desire you are judging so harshly and ask, where does this exact trait live inside of me? Seriously, where am I arrogant? Where am I desperately seeking attention? Where am I lazy? When you answer that honestly, you trigger what's known as the mirror effect. It's this transformative realization that the people you're observing are actually reflecting your own psychological landscape right back at you. Once that clicks, you realize that every single judgment you make actually contains a sacred invitation to examine your own unacknowledged inner world. Honestly, this completely flips the script on how you navigate your life. Your triggers, they are the loudest alarm bells your soul possesses. They aren't enemies to be controlled, and they definitely aren't just annoyances to be avoided. They are vital messengers. They're carrying critical intelligence directly from the deepest parts of who you are, the parts of you that were left behind in the dark, basically begging to be integrated back into your conscious self. When you finally own up to the fact that you contain the exact same flaws and desires that you viciously hunt down in others, a massive shift occurs. You stop using your perception as a weapon. You stop trying to break the mirror by attacking the reflection. Instead, you begin to clean the mirror. You accept your own irreducible complexity, and by doing that, you take your power back from the outside world. Jung ultimately wrote that your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. You have to stop outsourcing your inner conflicts to the people around you. You've got to stop fighting the reflections on the glass and summon the fierce, uncompromising courage to finally look into your own heart. So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge for this week as you process this explainer. What is one specific trigger you experience constantly that is actually just a mirror of your own shadow? The next time you feel a disproportionate rage at someone's behavior, are you going to be brave enough to stop, find the reflection, and actually claim it as your own?